Hi, welcome to the pre-lab screencast for ChemLab3. The purpose of this lab is to observe a chemical change in matter, separate the products form, and identify one of the products using a flame test. So I'm going to walk you through the procedure and model exactly what you need to be doing for each step. So down at the bottom of the first page of your lab, it says Procedure Part 1. Use your sandpaper to buff your small strip of copper metal until it is shiny. So the little squares of purple are the sandpaper. And then your copper is going to be about this big, and it may be fairly shiny already, or it may be a little on the dull side, a little corroded looking. Either way, you're going to buff it up a little bit, and I would suggest getting a paper towel and just anchoring one end of the copper with a finger. Then as you buff it, the corrosion and stuff ends up on the paper towel instead of all over your clothes or on the countertop where it later gets on your clothes. And this one was buffed pretty well, so I don't have to spend too much time on it. And then it says, second step is to measure 25 milliliters of 0.1 molar silver nitrate solution and pour into a Dixie cup. Now, silver nitrate solution will be on the supply island, and it'll be in a beaker like so and labeled 0.1 molar silver nitrate, and it's going to look like water, but just be aware it's not, and it's not really dangerous to you, but it does stain. It'll stain your clothes and it'll stain your hands, so handle it carefully. You'll also find some 25 milliliter graduated cylinders, and if you didn't know, these little rings actually aren't to mark how much you want. They're designed to stay at the top, so if you knock this over, you don't break the graduated cylinder. And in this case, 25 milliliters is just an arbitrary amount. It's plenty to get the reaction going quickly, but you don't have to be real precise measuring it out or real accurate measuring it out. So I got about 25 milliliters there. And your instructions say to pour it into a Dixie cup. It's just like the little ones you buy for in your bathroom or at home. The idea is that this will make cleanup very easy. We're just going to throw the cup away eventually. Step 3 then says make and record your physical observations about both the copper strip, which you still have, and the silver nitrate, and you record those in your data table as 0 or initial time. Then you go ahead and insert the copper strip in there, and it'll just sink to the bottom. And it'll start reacting fairly quickly. And it says make and record your observations every 5 minutes for a total of 20 minutes. So that means you're going to make 4 observations while the copper is in your silver nitrate and record those observations into your data table. Step 6 says if precipitate accumulates on your copper strip, knock it loose by tapping the copper against the side of the cup so the process can continue more easily. An easy way to do this is to just gently swirl your cup. It's only going to be, look, it's only less than half full, so you should be able to swirl it, get the precipitate to fall off without spilling the silver nitrate on yourself or your lab partner. So during that 20 minutes, we'll be doing some other things in class. You'll be checking it every 5. Then we get to Part 2. So if you flip over to the back of that page, Part 2 starts with Step 7, and it says fold the filter paper into quarters. So here's my sheet of filter paper, and believe it or not, we fold this up into a cone that's going to go inside of our funnel. And funnels are really handy if you put them inside what's called a clay triangle, hanging on the ring stand, and then you don't have to stand there and hold the funnel. So I'm going to go ahead and fold this in half and in half again. And as Step 7 says then, to open this up, the proper way to open it and to have a cone that actually filters is to pull 3 sides one direction and 1 side the other direction. This thing gets stuck down into the funnel, and it'll kind of stay there, but it'll tend to pop up, so you might have to hold it or push it in a couple times. So Step 8 says insert your filter paper cone into the funnel and hold in place as you pour the solution remaining in your cup. You do not need to get the entire solid into the filter. In fact, any solid you can leave behind, including the copper strip, is a good thing because then it will filter more quickly. So it's going to work just like a coffee filter. You're just going to slowly pour in the liquid. This is called decanting, when you try and pour off the liquid and leave the solid behind. Make sure it's lined up. Don't overfill your filter paper. If you go up over the top, then the solid can slide down the backside of the filter paper, and then this won't be nice and clear like we're expecting it to be. Step 9 says catch the filtrate. Okay, so the stuff running through, here's the filtrate, and that's the stuff we want, into a glass beaker. These are also at the supply island. Back in your cup, you're going to make observations about the solid left behind, okay, the stuff that precipitated onto the copper. Once you've made those observations, you can dump the copper out. You have to flick it a little to get it out. You can go ahead and wipe the copper off, and then you're going to save that piece of copper. Copper is actually quite an expensive metal, so that's going to go back into the dish at the supply island, and somebody next hour can buff it up and use it again. Your Dixie cup you can hang on to because we're going to put the filter paper in there in a few minutes. Once you've got a fair amount of filtrate in here, I've already got 20 milliliters. This is plenty to test. So at this point, I could go ahead and pull my filter paper out, even though there's some stuff dripping through. And I'm just going to put my Dixie cup right up here, drop it in, just crumple the whole mess up, toss it into the garbage can. So my funnel now I can take out and rinse out so it's ready for the next group. And then the filtrate is what I'm interested in. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the filtrate out. And step 12 says dispose of the filter paper, Dixie cup, and solid by throwing it all into the garbage can. Okay, but that doesn't include the copper. Then 13 says dim the lights, adjust your Bunsen burner to a blue flame, and dip a bent paper clip into your filtrate. Hold the paper clip in the flame and observe any color that is emitted. It is normal to see a blue flame and even an orange flame emitted from a Bunsen burner. Repeat this several times and record your observations. So I'm going to slide the ring stand out of the way here. I'll pull the Bunsen burner into view here. When you turn the Bunsen burner on, the gas lever comes parallel to the nozzle, and then you have the most gas you can get, and then you can adjust the gas if you need to on the Bunsen burner itself. This is the starter, and if you pull up just slightly, you get a spark, and hopefully your Bunsen burner will light right up. And as it says, we're going to dim the lights to do this. You're going to need a paper clip from the supply island. These are just small paper clips. I'm just going to bend it open from the first two bends, and I'm just going to leave this little hook here, and in fact I'm going to bend it in a little to attempt to make a little loop here that some liquid could get caught up in. And then I'm going to take this, dip it into my filtrate, get some to stick to it, and then put it in my burner. And you notice my burner burns orange. It's because it's losing some heat. Without the paper clip in there, it burns blue. I can dip this back and forth and keep putting it in. Now, I haven't actually done the experiment here because I want you to have the fun of seeing what color the flame test is. But it shouldn't be the blue, and it shouldn't be this gold. You should see another color emerge when you do this flame test. One last thing to point out is you might notice I'm putting my paper clip in right at the tip. There's really a double flame here, the outer flame, and then there's an inner flame. The tip of that inner flame is the hottest spot of the flame, so that's where I'm going to put my paper clip. And as your instructions say, once you've completed your flame test, you can do it as many times as you want. You'll have a lot of filtrate to use with. You can rinse the extra filtrate down the sink, just like you rinse the funnel out in the sink. So you can go ahead and rinse anything left in here. This is perfectly fine to go down the sink. Rinse your beaker out. Return it to the supply island for the next group. Take your paper clip and throw it in the garbage.